Hey, Blanket, I actually can help you with your mic. I think your gain is like so incredibly fucking high that your mic peaks itself out. So you need to turn your gain like significantly down in order, because like half of your sentences are being cut off. It's my understanding that the only reason to use "the" in front of any of these countries is or areas is to like demean them and make them seem like, uh-oh, I guess we're going.
Dude.
Howdy.
Yo, Sondsol. What are your thoughts on this conversation so far, Sondsol? I'm dealing with two brain dead fucks over here, in my opinion.
Sure. I've caught about 30 seconds of it total. Someone said that Russia was totally justified in going into Ukraine. And
yep.
Fucking,
you know why? Because preemptive self-defense.
Preemptive self-defense. Explain it to me.
Well,
I love talking to people who only listen to 30 seconds of a conversation. And
that's what he's asking, so you can clarify your position. Yeah. So go ahead and clarify
Hold on, really quick, just so you guys know. Like, I can't just like sit here and steal other people's content. I have to make my own. So I'm not going to just sit here and like stream snipe fucking either Rhyzohm or anyone else here. So I didn't want to fucking do that. So just tell me your position, buddy.
Do you want to go, Blank, or do you want me to?
Yeah, sure. So, as I was trying to explain, I don't know why Rhyzohm has to be so mean and call me brain dead.
Because you guys are illogical. You are irrational.
I have not levied any insult towards you, so I think that's a very bad decorum on your part.
Yeah,
sure it is.
Yeah, Rhyzohm.
Oh, man, dude, I'm fucking owned, dude. I'm fucking owned, dude.
To clarify my position, Sondsol, is that as I explained earlier in the conversation, is that the West, Western nations, have a long history of invading and trying to imperialize the East and oppress the Russian people. We saw this with the Teutonic Order. We saw this with the Polish, the French, and the Germans, and the British. All these Western imperial powers trying to establish political hold. And through the
also, let me just add quick. Like Russia or America has wanted to destroy Russia ever since 1917, the revolution. So we wanted them dead. So yeah, go ahead.
And it wasn't so long since World War II occurred within Russia, and we all know that Russia suffered the brunt of the war of German imperialism, brutalizing their people. So Russia, through long history of being invaded from the West, has a interest in securing a political bloc to ensure the defense of their own nation state, to defend their people from Western aggression. This is why they have an interest. This is why they're currently invading Ukraine, because Ukraine keeps trying to join the EU. They keep trying to join NATO. They keep trying to align themselves with the West, which threatens Russia. Right? And Russia needs to defend itself by establishing a political bloc to protect themselves because of the long history of Western imperialism going into their country. So this is why they're doing that.
And NATO expansion, by the way. NATO has expanded in like fucking 10, 12 different countries ever since 1991. And they have no reason to believe that trend will not continue into Ukraine.
And not only that, we see this with the West currently. Hold on. We see this with the currently with the British and the French retaining a lot of influence and power over their former colonies. We see America interfering on the global stage, right? So if all these Western countries have a right to maintain a political and economic bloc across the globe, Russia should at least have the right to have a political bloc within their own region, within their own sphere, to protect themselves. This is all I'm saying. This is the only reason why it is morally justified.
Okay, so there are a lot of things in there. Which one do y'all want to go over first? Is it the historical claims to Ukraine? Is it the NATO stuff? Is it which part of it is like
to Ukraine? We're not talking. I'm not saying that Russia has an historical claim to Ukraine. I said.
Well, it kind of. To be fair, it does kind of because Ukraine's been a part of Russia for like hundreds of years. You guys.
Hold on. I'm not trying to make a blood and soil argument. What I'm saying is, I'm not saying that Russia has an historical claim to Ukraine. I'm saying that Russia has an historical justification. The reason why they want to establish a political bloc over Ukraine and the surrounding regions for national defense against Western imperialism. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so where is the Western imperialism?
I explained through the long history of the Teutonic Order, to the Polish, to the French, to the British, to the Germans, right? Even now, they're still trying to expand via the EU and NATO into the country now to take, to expand their influence into the
Wait, hold
East.
on. You can't. But NATO, from my understanding, you can tell me if I'm wrong here. A country can't
NATO
even
was
join
built
NATO.
to contain Russia.
Right.
Originally,
I
in its
understand,
creation was to contain,
yeah, but like you can't join NATO unless you want to, right? You can't. They can't like walk up to you and like force you to be in a defensive pact, right?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so that wouldn't be imperialism then, because it's consent on both sides, right?
But they can like coerce and bribe you to join them, though.
Well, we're not talking about coercion or whether or not Ukraine wants to join. It's a matter of Russia. We're not talking about Ukraine. We're talking about Russia.
Wait, why would it? Why, if we're talking about imperialism? Wait, hold on. Wait, but so if you're talking about imperialism, and if the people of Ukraine want to join NATO, right?
Yeah.
Then
Which
that wouldn't
threatens
be
Russia.
imperial. I don't know if
Ukraine being a NATO country threatens Russia, and that's why I gave the justification why they're taking over the political bloc
even
there.
if it were to threaten NATO, or I'm sorry, Russia,
Threaten
right?
Russia, yeah.
Yeah, even if it were to threaten Russia, which I don't believe it does, right? Seeing as it is a
Well, it was
defensive
built.
pact.
Well, NATO is an enemy of
Again.
Russia. It was built to contain Russia.
Sure, that's what
It's
it
a
was.
defensive pact
Yeah.
because Russia had been the aggressor all over Europe for
it's
fucking
really
ever.
weird.
And the
It's
West
really
hasn't
that,
been the
it's,
aggressor.
yeah, it's really weird that Russia has a history of being pretty aggressive to smaller nations, right? Which would make
Yeah,
them
and
more
just as
likely
the
to want
British
to
and the
join.
British have a long
Make
history.
them more
every,
likely to
like,
join
fucking
into a
big
defensive.
country,
States
yeah.
and
Wait, hold on,
Japan,
hold on.
and Latin
I
America,
Just like
disagree.
America and just like Britain and just like
Asia,
everybody.
Right,
Let
but
me
I'm-
put it to you
I'm-
like
I'm
this.
just saying. I'm just saying. Whoa, 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 whoa. I just
Why
got
does
it,
the
right?
West
So I'm
have the
trying to
right
be.
to have
I'm
a
trying to be
political
nice.
bloc
I
over
just
the
think.
world?
I just think
And
that it's
why
like
does
really
Russia-
weird to say. Right, I just think it's kind of weird to say that like this is Western imperialism for NATO to expand into Ukraine because
that's
of
not
this.
what I
Wait, hold on, because it's a
That's not what I
defensive.
said.
You literally did say that
I'm
it was
not gonna
Western
let you
imperialism.
go on with something that I didn't say. I didn't
Okay,
say
so if it's
that,
not Western imperialism, then what is it?
I didn't say that Ukraine joining NATO was Western imperialism. I said that NATO and the EU, through these Western countries having a long history of imperializing the East, Russia has a justified fear of Ukraine becoming a NATO member because as NATO is a antagonistic organization that
Okay, but
threatens Russia,
you just said that
they have a
that
justified
it's
reason
imperialist.
to protect themselves against Western imperialism.
Right, but
I
you're
didn't
saying
say,
that-
I didn't say that Ukraine becoming a NATO member was imperialism. I said that Russia had a
only
right
if
to
only
ensure Ukraine
if they
protect
join both NATO and the
itself.
EU, then it's imperialism.
Sorry, what? I didn't catch that.
So you're saying only if they both join NATO and the EU, then it's imperialism.
I didn't say that. No, I didn't say that.
Okay, so then why are they? How are they
They
defending
do that
themselves
just
from?
to protect you. That's not
Wait, hold on.
right.
Wait, I'm trying to understand. I'm genuinely trying to understand because this is
Okay,
not a
then
take
slow
I've heard
down.
before.
Hold on,
Right?
shh.
They're defending themselves from the potential, Sondsol. That's
The
the thing that they
potential.
won't concede to.
Hold on.
Okay,
Well,
so
then-
it's the potential for.
Sounds like if you truly want to understand, then you'd stop talking. Okay, let's take this down. Let's take-
Right. Wait,
It always,
the
and
reason-
that's
the
the other
reason-
thing, Sondsol.
okay.
It's always a little more clarification.
Wait,
Always just a little more.
The reason I'm saying it back to you, yeah, the reason I'm saying it back to you, so that, wait, I'm trying to tell you my thought process, right?
You're not
So the
actually
reason,
repeating what I'm saying.
Just let him fucking go.
I'm just saying, the reason I repeat back to you from is what I'm
characterizing
hearing,
what
right? And then you
you're
can correct what I'm hearing incorrectly, right? So I'm
Okay,
telling you
fine.
what I'm hearing from you. So now you can tell me what is it exactly that Russia is worried about?
The
Oh,
potential.
wait, what is Russia? Okay, now I can tell that you've only been here for
Yeah,
you were only
he hasn't
locked
even-
in
he
for
hasn't
30
listened
seconds.
to a
Because,
Just explain it then, if it's so easy.
We already just got through explaining it.
okay, like we said, like way earlier
So
in the
where did I
debate, you
get
must
it
have
wrong?
missed it. What Russia is afraid of is NATO and America installing a bunch of fucking weapons in Ukraine right next door to Russia. That's what
Okay,
they're
so
afraid
why
of.
didn't they ask
And
them
that's
instead
a pretty
of-
valid concern.
Sure. Even I don't know if it's a valid concern, but even if I was to grant that, why did they say Ukraine can't join NATO? Why did they say that instead of like a more acceptable like middle ground like we did during the Cuban Missile Crisis? You can't have missiles in Ukraine, but like you can have like a defensive pact with them, because at that point all that would happen is like if Ukraine got invaded by Russia, then everyone would fuck with them, right?
Yeah, I guess.
So why
wait,
didn't they
what are
approach
you, I'm
that?
sorry, I'm not sure what you're saying. Are you saying that they should let Ukraine join NATO, but they're like, okay, we'll let you join NATO, but no nukes, no missiles, guys? Is that?
I mean,
I'm not
we did
sure.
it during
Is
the
that what you're
Cuban
saying?
Missile Crisis. Why wouldn't we be able to do it now? We took
Wait,
our
wait.
nukes. Yeah, we took our nukes out of Turkey. They didn't put any nukes in Cuba.
I mean,
It seems like that isn't actually the reason. It might be part of the reason, but I don't think that's the actual reason why they invaded Ukraine.
It's economic. It's about
it's
money.
I mean, I would say it's a very large part of the
100
reason.
about money.
Well, if it's a very large part of the reason that they invaded Ukraine was to make sure that they didn't join
it's not
NATO,
just-
well, that
well,
would
it's
make sense
50-50,
because they're
right,
trying to make.
Sondsol?
Well, if they're
It's
trying to make sure that they
economic
can't,
and,
if they
national
can't,
defense.
if they want to make sure that Ukraine doesn't join NATO, it's because they already had plans initially to run into Ukraine and take it over in some way, shape, or form. So it would seem like NATO there would be a protective force versus Ukraine versus an antagonistic one towards Russia, right?
Well, yeah, what you're saying is obvious. Yes, of course they had plans to like take over Ukraine. It's because they see what NATO and the West
it's
has been
totally
like
valid for
negotiating with
Ukraine to
Ukraine for
join
like
NATO, right?
decades now. And as I've stated before, states think way in advance. They don't just react to things as they're happening.
I agree.
They think years and possibly decades ahead. So yes, of course they're like. They have plans to invade probably a lot of different countries around them.
Which is why
but
they don't
that
want
doesn't
those
mean they're
countries
gonna-
to join NATO, right? Like they didn't want Georgia to join NATO, so they invaded Georgia, right? Now they've done it to Ukraine. So what country is going to be next, right? Which country do they not want to join NATO that they're going to invade? Because
This is
they want to
exactly my
expand-
point.
I don't
Sounds
know.
all.
Maybe
That's where I was going with
NATO
it, too.
shouldn't. Maybe those countries that
Maybe
that
those
are in
countries just
question shouldn't start negotiating with NATO to put a bunch of missiles.
Oh my God! So you're so what you're so this is
So
the
other
argument-
countries
this is
don't
the
have the
argument
right to
that-
self-determine.
The argument that
Join
you're
NATO
putting
to defend
forward, the
themselves.
argument that you're putting forward is that these other countries are scared of Russia invading them, but they can't look to NATO for defense from that because that would just provoke them more. This is like a rape apologia argument, right? Like
Yeah, these
you
countries,
know-
these other countries don't have the right to self-determine, Sondsol. Just Russia, okay?
It's like saying like, yeah, like obviously if you don't want a guy to rape you, you shouldn't wear like revealing clothes. But like if they're going to wear revealing clothes, then Russia like is going to
Some
rape
weird
them. And that's just like a
fantasies
thing
about
that's going to
something,
happen.
Sondsol.
Well, I'm not the one making the argument, right? I'm
don't know why you're bringing fucking rape into this.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. You
I'm
keep
the one
having
saying
these
your argument
weird
is dog
fantasies
shit,
or
you know?
something. I don't. You know, you need to leave your fantasies like in your own head in your own private room, man. Because none of us wants to hear this. All right.
Yeah. You don't want to hear it because you don't have an argument against it because you realize
Well,
that I'm
I
right. Because the
explained-
only reason that a country would want to join NATO is
explained my
for
argument, the reason
defensive
why.
protection. Is for
You just keep on going on the rant
yeah,
and then
it's for
mischaracterization
protection.
of what I'm saying.
Okay, then
You're-
tell me
you keep
where am I
Right,
mischaracterizing?
try.
The issue, Blanket, is that Sondsol is talking to you in exactly the same way I'm talking to you about breaking down your argument into abstracts, and you just can't engage with it because your argument falls apart immediately, and you are so scared of biting any bullets. You just claim nuance, clarification.
Yeah, well, I want to hear the
keep
clarification.
trying-
Clarify your way out of this rape apologia.
Oh, he's tried, Sondsol. Let's hear it.
It's
my position.
Apology. Yeah, let's just use things that have nothing to
and
do.
going on your rants.
Omni with another gotcha. Go ahead, Blanket.
Well, I don't know. I mean, is me clarifying my position and stating my argument for the third time going to do anything, right? Am I going to state my argument and then you're
Probably
gonna
not, because you won't engage with a
Yeah.
direct response to it.
You can state. Well, hold on. But if you can't,
You
if you
mischaracterize
you
what
can
I'm saying
state,
and
you
then just
can
go off on
state
it.
your argument as many times as you want. But if you can't defend any part of it, then your argument is bullshit. So tell me where I'm wrong. Tell me why my characterization is either incorrect or why your argument is actually better than mine for why these countries have a legitimate reason for joining NATO.
Fine, but here's the dilemma, right?
Yeah.
I'm saying I'm arguing that Russia has a right to Ukraine and the surrounding regions to secure a political bloc to protect itself from the West, right? You're trying to make the argument that it shouldn't be able to do that, right?
Well, no, it should. No. You're absolutely right. It should have the right to do that, but not through invasion. It can absolutely do that
So-
if it wants. Wait, hold on. It can absolutely do it if it wants to, like.
So the disagreement is through, right?
So wait,
I
when
wanna
a
boil
country
something
next
down
to them
real
just
quick.
starts getting
If
a
they
bunch of
want to offer
weapons
economic
built on the way
incentives,
down,
if-
Give me a second. Give me a second to boil something down real quick.
Sure.
Okay, if you're a business owner and you're being offered a deal by two different companies,
owner is-
both of them.
Hey,
are
let's let Jason talk for a minute, Blanket. Hey, let's let Jason talk for a minute, Blanket. Hey, let's let Jason talk for a minute.
A business
Both
is
of them
not
are
the same as a-
competing.
Hey,
for
clarify
your
afterwards,
business.
huh? Hey,
Hey,
clarify
hey.
afterwards, huh?
Okay, let Jason go.
Both of them are competing for your business. Both of them are huge competitors of one another. One is going to give you a better deal than the other one. Now, the one that's going to give you the better deal isn't trying to fucking invade you and hasn't had tensions towards you the entire fucking time. Are you gonna join or run your business out of business? So are you gonna join with the business that gives you the better deal, or are you gonna join with the business that's been fucking hostile towards you?
A business,
so of course they're going to join with the business that gives them the better deal. This applies in business. This applies in countries as well.
Okay. I don't understand who is offering the better deal. Who's offering the better deal?
They want to go with NATO. They want to go with the EU because it's a better deal for them, because what they're getting from Russia is bullshit.
Businesses don't govern.
Yeah, wait. What businesses are responsible?
No idea.
Wait, are any businesses responsible for the lives of hundreds of millions of people, or what?
Say that again?
Do not
Are businesses responsible for the lives of hundreds of millions of people, or is that just a kind of a shitty?
I mean, you would say they're yeah. I mean, if they're an employer, I'm sure, depending on what they produce, yeah, absolutely they could be.
I mean, yeah, maybe like fucking massive multinationals.
But even from a business standpoint, you're going to go with the better deal. As a country who does want to protect its people. Yeah. Also, you're going to go with the better deal. And if Russia's giving you a bullshit ass deal, you're not going to go with
Trump right now. What is
you're going to go with NATO, and you're going to go with the EU.
Yeah,
and
that's all I'm saying. Yeah, Jason, fucking based. It's exactly what I'm saying. I would say that if Russia wants to have this regional power block that it wants so fucking bad with Belarus and fucking Kazakhstan, and they want to bring Ukraine into that, well, they should offer Ukraine a better deal than the EU or NATO are.
Yeah, we'll send Trump over there to give them the best deal.
Wait, hold
Dude,
on.
Omni has not provided one substantive argument tonight.
I want to speak to Sondsol for a little bit, right? So the issue with that, like the reason why the Russians can't just go, oh, we're just going to offer them a better deal, is because the consequence of not being able to provide on that deal is a threat to their national sovereignty, to their defense.
So if they can't offer a better deal, then of course they're going to go with the EU.
But the thing is, though, it's a risk to their defense, and that's why they want to establish a political bloc over Ukraine in the first place, so they can have a regional power bloc to protect themselves from the West, right?
Yeah, but if Ukraine doesn't want to join their
exactly, and it threatens Russia.
Right, but what you're telling me is just because Ukraine wants to join someone that's going to be better for them, Russia shouldn't have to fucking care about that, right? They can do whatever.
They should have to care about it because they have to care about protecting their people.
Okay, so they can do whatever they want in order to secure that?
Yeah, and what they have to do, and in order to protect their people, they have to establish a political bloc over Ukraine to protect themselves against NATO aggression.
Okay, so where is the aggression from NATO? Again, I ask you, can you show me one example of NATO invading fucking Russia?
What do you mean? Wait, are you asking what's aggressive about a military alliance right now? Because
a defensive alliance.
What aggression have they contributed to? What actual acts of aggression can we say that Ukraine is presenting as a threat to Russia over?
Yeah, give me an example of NATO aggression towards Russia.
Selling millions, perhaps even billions of dollars to the Ukraine. How about that?
Selling billions of what?
Where do you think that Ukraine is getting all these weapons from? Just pulling them from their ass?
No, you're right. They definitely gave them weapons. What kind of weapons did they give them, Omni Slap? Wait, blanket. Let me hear from Omni. What kind of weapons were sent to Ukraine?
We're sending a lot of weapons to Ukraine right now.
Right,
yeah. It seems pretty much everything short of nukes at this point.
Everything short of nukes. Okay, so you're wrong. Right there. You don't know what you're talking about. Why the fuck did you come into a debate when you don't know what kind of weapons they sent to them?
Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, I don't care.
Can we get a moment of silence for Saint Javelin? Just a moment.
I don't care. Explain.
Yeah, I don't care about what weapons they send there. I'm just saying that they're sending everything except for nukes. No. They're not sending everything but nukes. They're sending them exactly. They're sending them exactly.
I mean, I don't give a shit about your.
Now tell us why we don't care.
You told me to explain. So we sent them the exact kind of weapons that they needed to counter a land invasion from Russia. Russia's main military force on land comes from their tank divisions, the largest on Earth. So what did we give them? We gave them Javelin missiles, which blow up tanks and heavily armored vehicles. These things do not go 800 miles to fucking Moscow. They don't go, across the border and blow up large fucking city blocks. We gave them weapons that are essentially like a single unit of infantry can carry this around by themselves, go up to some distance from tank. I don't know the exact range of a Javelin missile is, but it has to be within fucking sight, and then they can blow it up. That's what we've been giving them. And that's why Russia has been largely deterred from invading thus far, because, again, the largest part of their military comes from their tanks. We have not given them anything that can be seen as aggressive. It is all, it's all like objectively something that can be used as defense, because if we wanted to give them aggressive weapons for against Russia, we would have been giving them like a fuck ass load of planes and fucking drones and fucking like thermobaric fucking missiles like they're using on the Ukrainian civilians right now. There has been no aggressive action from NATO towards Russia.
Oh, by the way, these guys deny that the civilians have been hurt at all in this Sondsol.
We have not.
Oh, at least Omni has then.
what?
Okay, Blanket.
When? No.
Then we walk that back. Okay, Omni, cool. Then you walk it back, easy.
Anyways,
Wait, what am I walking back? Can you just?
When I said, "Do you want me to list war crimes?" and you go, "What war crimes?"
What? I never, dude. You're mad. You must be imagining shit because I never.
That's
said
fine.
that.
You guys have already proven you've had the memory of a goldfish. I understand. Don't worry.
I'm still waiting. I've been
We'll go at your
You because you're saying that you said things.
We'll go at your speed. I won't call back
things
something that happened 20 minutes ago because you won't remember. Got it.
Because Sondsol, the issue with your analogy, or not the of you explaining of them sending defensive weapons to Ukraine, the reason why they send defensive weapons to Ukraine is because
they invaded them. Yeah.
No, the reason why, because the Ukrainian military is not able to fight a conventional war
Against Russia, yeah. So it's almost like Ukraine was going to be fucked by Russia otherwise.
Let me explain. Right?
Sure.
So obviously, if they're going to be sending weapons to them right now, it's going to be weapons that are best used for like a guerrilla warfare. They're not going to send them like airplanes and like and shit that are used for offensive warfare because the Ukrainians are not going to be able to use it. It's also for strategy, right?
It
takes a long time to learn how to.
No, you're right. You're right.
It takes a long time to learn how to drive a tank.
No, you're right. No, you're right. Which is why I would ask you, can you explain to me how a guerrilla warfare invasion would work?
So obviously they're not going to send.
They're going to come out of the trees in their own fucking cities without like any kind of conventional warfare like capabilities.
Weapons within the country that's good for guerrilla warfare and it's easy to use. Right?
Yeah, so defensive weapons.
Like a tank because it takes a really long time to learn how to use a tank.
Okay, so can you tell me how this guerrilla tactics? Hold on, wait. I really want to know. I want him to answer this. I want wait. I want Blanket to answer me. Wait. No, you're right. I'm not disagreeing with you on that. I'm not disagreeing. We've been giving them weapons for 8 years, right? Well, hold on. Please, holy shit. You're very, very ready to go on long rants about this, but I do want to hear.
I'm not trying to go on a long rant. I'm trying to explain the reason why they're doing that.
Right, but the reason that you're giving is fucking stupid because you said they're giving them weapons. Yeah, you say that we're giving them weapons for guerrilla warfare, which is an aggressive action. Hold on, bro. You've literally been talking this entire time. Okay, you told me that of course we're giving them weapons that they can use in like guerrilla warfare. Right? This is aggressive action by NATO. Tell me how Ukraine or NATO is going to invade using guerrilla tactics. Can you explain that to me? Yeah. Guerrilla tactics are something that's
irrelevant
forces.
Anyways.
It's irrelevant because
it doesn't
it's a
matter, dude.
point.
It doesn't fucking matter because what you're saying is fucking stupid. Because even if what you're saying is true, which I'm not sure it is true, but even if what you're saying is true and that they've only given defensive weapons to Ukraine, that doesn't mean that they're not. It could at any time in the future start giving them aggressive weapons.
Right. So but you would have to show some kind of move towards
earlier in this conversation, right? About like 10 minutes ago, you said that into response to what I was saying about Russia and unjustified regions to expanding in the region, you were trying to make the argument that NATO is purely just a defensive, which it is, right? And that they have a right to defend themselves against Russia, right? They're only sending and you said that they send defensive weapons, right? And that they have a right to defend themselves with defensive weapons, right? To in an attempt to try and ease our fears that they're not going to send offensive weapons, right? The reason I'm telling you they're not sending offensive weapons right now is because strategically speaking, it wouldn't be effective, right?
Sure.
But just like Omni said,
but you're saying that
they're focusing, right? Because of the reasons that I explained earlier, right? Offensive weapons are not going to be good.
The problem that you're running into right now, the problem that you're running into right now.
That doesn't mean that, like what Omni's point said, that doesn't mean that they might not possibly put offensive weapons there towards the future.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, but you would have to, number one, you're going to have to
because Russia is meant to trust a fucking alliance that's been giving a bunch of weapons that they're not going to give aggressive weapons.
Are you guys going to walk back that NATO has been doing aggressive actions towards Russia then? Because you're right now
Yes.
accepting.
Wait, is that a question, dude? Are you fucking kidding me right now?
So NATO hasn't
That
been
is a
doing
question. Yes, dude. Omni, just
You guys have been
respond to
saying-
actual
you guys have
things
been
like that
saying
we say.
you guys have been saying that NATO is doing aggressive actions towards Russia, and now you're walking it all fucking back. So
Wait,
glad
did you not know why? Okay, why was NATO founded? Do you know that?
to combat the east or the westward expansion of the USSR?
I mean,
Yeah.
yes, kind of, yeah.
Russia, right?
It was to be against Russia, yes, and they still are
yeah,
that.
in the same
So are
way.
you
in the
asking
same
why
way-
To
an
stop the
organization
westward
that was-
expansion of the
that was
USSR, not
created-
just anti-Russia.
Not anti-Russia.
Let's
not
engage with that
anti-Russia.
honestly.
NATO is it's to be against Russia. That's what you're going to boil it down to. I mean, that's an opposite
yes.
of what they do.
Yeah.
Because that's what they were created as, dude. What do you mean?
NATO is a response to something. It's a response to Russian aggression.
Yeah,
it was a
after they
response
invaded
to
the
Russian
Nazis.
aggression.
Yeah, of course, and they set up the.
Oh yes, they're doing Western aggression as a response to Eastern
Yeah,
aggression.
so tell me
Yes, I
where the
agree.
aggression
They're
is. I've
aggressive.
asked you like 5 times. You've walked it back now. Like you've said that you've walked it back. That it's a fucking stupid question for me to ask where the fucking Western aggression is. Tell me where the NATO aggression is.
Yo, is that a real question, Sondsol?
It's
Where is the NATO?
Just
Oh, I don't know. Maybe them perpetually
keep talking.
expanding when they said they wouldn't. By the way,
Just sit up
them
and-
perpetually expanding
on.
eastwards when they said
They
that they wouldn't.
perpetually
When did they
expanded
say-
eastward
when
because
did they
those
say-
countries wanted to be a part of NATO.
Hold on.
Those countries wanted to be a part of NATO.
Omni slap,
everybody in the country wanted-
where did, can you, wait,
Conversation.
there was supposed to be no eastward,
Don't talk anymore.
Blanket, no one's listening. I hear what you're saying. Just shut the fuck up and let Sondsol talk.
Get into the conversation.
I'm having actual difficulty hearing Blanket. I don't know if, wait, Blanket.
Blanket
there's
is just
something
trying to say I haven't contributed
No,
anything
wait,
to the
Blanket, I
discussion
can-
when I've made the most legitimate arguments throughout the entire discussion
Blanket, I've
besides
turned
what
you up all
James,
the way,
Jason, and
but I can't
Sondsol.
hear you.
Yeah, your
literally
your
can't
mic
hear
is
you at
kind
all.
of choppy, to be honest.
Yeah,
Blanket.
sorry, I literally can't hear you. But like you, okay, so So you're going to
turn me up or something.
I've turned you up all the way I can, buddy. Sorry, I'm being honest. I'm not trying to like cut you off or anything.
Well, yeah, you're like
response to
you're kind of
Blanket,
cutting
just
out
saying.
every now and
I
then.
love
Okay.
the accusation that I haven't contributed anything to discussion when all the points you're arguing I offered in the first place. So keep going.
Okay, so Omni Slap. So you're saying that there wasn't supposed to be any eastward expansion. Where was that? Can you like tell me what like treaty that was in?
I mean, I'd have to like dig it up again. I mean, I've seen
I think
articles about
maybe
this, but
I
I'd
think
have to
what you
look it
might be
over.
talking about is the second referendum of Kiev, maybe, right? From the early 1990s.
To not expand into the east.
Yeah,
that might have been it.
Yeah, that might have been it. I just made that up. That there is no agreement to never expand
Oh,
eastward.
no, there was a verbal discussion, but they never made a.
Why the fuck would
agreement.
the USSR make a verbal agreement with possibly
Yeah,
the
I'm
greatest
not here
enemy?
to like defend the USSR, right? But what you were bringing up was because
3
I
points.
know what you're referring to because there's somewhere in the Cold War, Gorbachev or whatever had some verbal talks, right? They were talking about
There was no
please don't
agreement,
expand,
number
but they
one.
never-
There was no
but they never
agreement.
wrote down, right? Like I already know there was never a
Yeah, there was never
written
a
down
written agreement, and if they
expand.
wanted there to be like no NATO eastward expansion, they should have got that shit in writing. Also, the thing that you're referring to has nothing to do with NATO expanding into other countries, because at the time, the countries in question were still part of the USSR. There was no way for them to expand eastward. So they. The conversation in question
Pretty sure
was
we were
about
talking about during the collapse of the Soviet Union, right? Like just before.
no, the collapse of the Soviet Union did not happen for another like year and a half, and nobody saw it actually coming. They knew that they were in dire straits economically, but they didn't know it was going to absolutely like completely dissolve. All right. The big point here, right, is that agreement
Oh,
wasn't
they were
about.
counting on it. They were counting on it dissolving, and they did everything they
Yeah,
could
they
to do that.
they saw it. They foresaw it coming. Man, maybe they should have had that shit in writing then, but they didn't. What that conversation was about NATO bases in Germany, and you can see that we've actually held up to that promise. There are no military bases from either NATO or the U.S. in Eastern Germany. We've held up to that promise. at the time, that in the context of what was going on at that time, that is what makes
who
sense.
cares? Wait, there's no NATO bases in Eastern Germany, but there are in fucking the Western Germany. So who gives a shit?
That's what the conversation was all about. Of course, there are NATO bases in Western Germany. That's why they were saying we're not going to put any more NATO bases in Eastern Germany when they were reunifying Germany. That's what that conversation was about. If you're coming to a debate about this, why do you not know about anything that you're talking about? Why do you not know about the kind of weapons that they're sending? Why do you not know about the kind of weapons they're sending? Why do you not know that this quote unquote verbal agreement that they had wasn't about putting more military bases?
What do you mean we don't know about the weapons they're sending? We do know what weapons they sent. Like we just had a conversation about it just a little bit ago.
Y'all said, you literally said just a little bit ago that they were sending everything except for nukes. And I had to fucking inform you that they're sending very specific kinds of weapons.
I agreed that they sent defensive weapons, but I disagreed with the implications that you were making, right?
What were the implications that I was making that would imply that they were sending everything?
Right?
But
So like
nukes?
earlier, right, I made the claim that Russia has a justified reason for establishing a political bloc within that part of the world to protect itself from NATO aggression from Western imperialism.
But you haven't been able to substantiate where the NATO aggression is.
Right? Because then you countered the claim, right, that Ukraine has a right to simply just have a
where the NATO aggression is.
Well, I'm trying to.
There's no claim. There's a question.
Right? You keep on.
We'll just answer the question. It makes it pretty
because I like to
easy.
take one
I'm in the
point
middle
at a time.
Yeah, you're right. No, you're right.
here.
An organization was created to destroy Russia, expanding into Russia's ass. No, there's no aggression there.
if
So
they
what
were-
is
if
the
they were
aggression?
created- Where's the aggression? If they were
explain it to you.
created with the
But then
explicit...
every time I get to explain it, then you interrupt me.
Okay,
I don't know,
okay, everybody shut the fuck up.
weapons.
Blanket is going to
You will
explain
all
to us.
stop talking.
Yes, I'm going to stop talking. Everyone's going to listen to Blanket explain to us where the aggression from NATO is. I'm waiting.
So as I was saying, right, when we well, first I'm just trying to go for the first claim that you made, right? I
want to know about this one thing
my
very
first claim,
specifically.
right?
That's the only thing I care
I
about
said
right
that
now.
Russia had a morally justified right to establish their own political bloc within the region to protect themselves from NATO and Western, aggression, right? You responded that they don't have to do that, or I think it was Rhyzohm who said that, right? But you responded that NATO has a right to join NATO, a defensive pact, to have defensive weapons to protect themselves, because Omni said that with them being part of NATO, that would give NATO the possibility of establishing offensive weapons there. And then you responded with that, okay, well, they're only sending defensive weapons there. And then the reason why I'm telling you, the reason why they're only sending defensive weapons there was because of strategy, right? Right now, the Ukrainian army doesn't have an ability to fight a conventional war with Russia. That's why they're sending them stuff like Stinger missiles, which are really good for guerrilla warfare against a conventional army, which is the Russia, right? So the implication was that they're not going to send offensive weapons because they're only sending defensive weapons. I'm saying the reason why they're sending defensive weapons is because of war strategy, right? But that doesn't mean that they don't have the ability of putting offensive weapons there in the future.
Just because we have the ability to do something doesn't mean that we're going to do that. We have the ability to nuke China. Hold on, wait. I just let you. I let you talk. I let you talk for so long. I'm trying to be civil. All right. If you've never heard of me, I'm known for being spicy. I'm trying to be. I'm known for being way spicier. Okay. So
don't poke
listen.
the spicy bear.
Listen. So you're telling me that they have the capability of eventually, maybe, possibly doing something mean to Russia. We have the ability to nuke China right now, but we don't, because there are reasons why we wouldn't do that.
I wonder
why.
why.
The same reasons why we probably wouldn't start a war with Russia. I don't think that there has ever been an instance, if you can give me an instance, of NATO invading another country without provocation first. I would love to see it. I would love to see any kind of actual Western aggression towards Russia through NATO. I would love to see that. Right now, all you have is that they have the capability of maybe possibly being aggressive towards Russia in the future without, but you also have to square with the fact that you've already conceded that they are a defensive pact which doesn't do anything unless they are first provoked. So in order for Russia to be scared of NATO, they would first have to invade a NATO nation, right?
Okay, so here's
before you address that, I'm going to say 10 minutes and then we're going to wrap this up. So, all right, Lincoln, go.
All right, so All right. So to your point about Russia, I mean China and America, right? Here's the main difference between Russia and Ukraine and America and China. China and America don't share a geographical border. They don't share a historical relation of China trying to invade America, right? But Russia has a history of the West invading and going into that part of the world.
Ukraine also has a history of being invaded by Russia.
Also very strong cultural ties with Ukraine, by the way.
So when it
How many times has Russia
NATO,
taken over Ukraine?
So here's the thing about NATO, right? NATO is a defensive pact, but you can't deny that is undoubtedly a power block, right? That the West has its own power block that it has an interest in protecting its own countries, right?
Sure, of course.
Yeah, but here's the thing. NATO and the West are antagonistic towards Russia.
You have not demonstrated a single instance of them being antagonistic towards Russia, except for the fact that NATO was established to make sure that the USSR
Russia, right?
Well, no, NATO was originally...
Well, the USSR was commonly referred to as Russia. When people thought of the USSR, they didn't think of like Ukraine or Belarus. They thought of Russia, right?
Well, because
Russia was like the majority of the population of the country.
They also thought of all of the Warsaw Pact. Yeah?
But it was mostly just about the USSR, right?
Yeah, like I said, Russia or USSR. I mean, like if you're going to be upset about me saying the USSR, then that's fine. Russia / the USSR
the issue is that
was expanding westward.
Russia
was expanding westward.
Why did they expand westward? Why was that? What led to that? What led to them expanding westward?
I mean, he doesn't know.
There's probably
Western
a bunch of
imperialism, right? Not the Nazis. The Germans, through their Western imperialism, were taking over the East. So how do they acquire Poland?
How do other countries defend themselves from this Eastern?
By invading Germany, because Germany was Nazis.
Hold on. So you're telling me that because Germany invaded Russia, that they then have the right
to
take over? Wait. You're telling me that because Germany invaded Russia, that they then have the God-given right to not only invade but take over all of Eastern Europe and half of Germany because of that. Yes, you did.
That's not what happened anyways. So
here's the thing, right? So Sondsol, that's not what I'm saying, right? I'm saying that Russia today, we're not talking about the USSR. The USSR doesn't exist anymore, okay? It's irrelevant. We're talking about Russia. I'm saying that Russia has a morally justified right to establish a political bloc within that region, within Ukraine, right? To protect themselves against the West, right? Because it's not so long ago that the West
Germany, the country of Germany, Nazi Germany, that was going around invading all over fucking Europe, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
and
because Germany did this, that nobody else can fucking defend themselves by joining a defensive pact against Russia, who is trying to protect themselves against Western imperialism. The United States nor Great Britain had
many of these countries have a long history of trying to imperialize Russia.
See, now I know that you
get back to the Teutonic Orders.
I'm sorry. Are we going to appeal back to the 1800s to try and defend Russia invading
No,
a
it was
country?
later than the 1800s, man. What are you talking about?
Of course, they have a right to
wait.
Skeptical of Western
I'm sorry.
aggression in NATO.
I believe in World War
Because
I,
those countries have an historic.
Tsarist Russia was on the same side as Great Britain. So I don't know about you, but
those countries have a long history of having imperialist aggression within that part of the world. Well, I just got to explain,
including towards the USSR, by the way.
Oh, wait! You're telling me that we invaded the USSR? Can you give me an example of that?
Yes.
Yeah, we did in the Civil War.
No, not directly, but we
during the Civil War.
In the Civil War.
What? No.
USSR
You mean the Russian Civil War?
Blanket just said Civil
You mean the
War.
Russian Civil War, right?
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm referring to. Yeah.
Yes, that is true. That is factually true. During the Russian Revolution,
Many other Western
they sent troops. There were troops sent from like 11 different Western countries, including America, including Britain, to stop their revolution. They joined it was called the White Army, and they fought against the Red Army, and they lost eventually. But
wait, wasn't that?
Yes, that is absolutely true.
Never mind. So you're telling me that because of a long history of Western imperialism because of countries who had defensive alliances with a government back in 1917 during the Russian Civil War, right? Because they came to defend their ally against whatever fucking revolutionary action was going on there. And because of the Nazi Germany, which is invading all of fucking Europe, including Western Europe, because of that, they have the right to dictate all of fucking geopolitics in Eastern Europe.
Wait, are you aware of how many people that how many Russians specifically the Nazis killed? Do you know?
That's not the question that I asked. Can you answer the question I asked?
It's absolutely irrelevant, though.
Okay, so because Nazi Germany killed a lot of Russians, Russia should be able to invade Ukraine?
Wait,
no.
What? Wait, first off, okay, that's another thing that you don't.
I'm trying to establish who has the right to Ukraine right now, okay?
Right, we're trying to figure out the justification. And it's something we've been trying to figure out for the entire conversation. And then when we try to ask you guys what the justification is, and we keep trying to engage with that, you tell us that we're misunderstanding you. And then when we ask for substantiation for your point on aggression, you can't actually provide any.
Well, it's dude. I'm sorry, but it's not my fault that you can't understand that like 11 different countries sending troops to end your country.
The Germans, the British, all these Western countries have historically
invaded
the East. So a long history of these Western countries, these nation states, even to the recent, all the way to the Civil War, they have had a long history of interfering in that part of the world. This is why Russia is trying to secure a political bloc to protect themselves against immigration.
Because in the past they have engaged in warfare. Where other countries
numerously throughout history they've been constantly invaded by the West.
So Ukraine doesn't deserve to have.
This is why they're trying to set up a political bloc in the first place.
Your direct
argument.
Your direct argument right now is that Ukraine does not deserve the sovereign right to engage with foreign policy with whoever they damn well please because Russia has been invaded.
Yeah, because Russia has a moral right to defend themselves.
They have a right to defend themselves by killing children, by killing. I love you so much. Thank you for admitting it. Thank you for admitting it. I love you so much. Blanket. I love your name. Yes, Blanket. Blanket is such an accurate name. Blanket is such an accurate name because you're blanketing this fucking conversation with fucking incessant talking. You have admitted now that Russia has the right to invade Ukraine.
They have the right to establish their own political bloc there because
Ukraine doesn't have the right to defend itself. You're saying. Ukraine doesn't have the right to join any kind
whoever
of
said they don't have the right to defend themselves, dude. They're defending themselves right now. What the fuck are you talking about?
What you're describing is appeasement.
Oh my God! Oh, here we go. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, Putin is Hitler.
So I'm still waiting for one example of NATO aggression on Russia. I'm still waiting for one example of NATO aggression towards Russia. I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for you to explain to me. I'm still waiting for you to explain to me.
It doesn't matter, right?
I'm still waiting for you to explain to me why Ukraine doesn't get to engage with foreign policy with who they choose because Russia's feelings are hurt.
Because that's not how the fucking world works, dude. I'm sorry.
That's not how the world works.
Yeah, you're gonna just install whatever fucking weapons in your country,
about the lives
like
of the
without
people protecting the
consequences.
people. It's not because of their feelings.
Just like Cuba didn't get to fucking do it next to America. Same reason for Ukraine.
Wait, what did you just say?
I said just like Cuba did not get to put nuclear weapons inside of its island.
They almost did. But guess what? Instead of us nuking them, guess what we did? We negotiated. We said, okay, you know what? You guys can still be military in a military alliance with the USSR. You guys can still be economic trade partners with the USSR. You just can't have missiles there. And in exchange, we'll take our missiles out of Turkey because we were willing to negotiate. Russia doesn't seem to actually give a fuck about NATO. Because there's no way that NATO is going to fucking do a first strike against Russia in any fucking case because they have nukes. It seems more like they just want to have Ukraine because of both the economic and because of some sort of like empire building fucking justification.
Same reason that we have been fucking with Cuba even after that.
Do you think that the invasion of Iraq was bad?
Yes, obviously.
Was that Western imperialism?
Well, we're not discussing whether or not it was bad. We're just discussing whether or not it was imperialism or not, right? It was imperialism.
Okay, so Russia invading Ukraine isn't imperialism, but us doing that is.
Hold on. I didn't say that Russia invading Ukraine was good. I simply just said that it had the right to do so.
Okay, right? So why didn't we have the right to invade Iraq?
Because Iraq was no fucking threat to us. What do you mean?
Yeah, it was no threat to us.
There was no fucking military alliance.
Ukraine is no threat. Ukraine is no threat.
Ukraine is not a threat. They're just selfish.
Do you really think that Ukraine was going to invade?
NATO is a threat to Russia? We explained how that is a threat to
Russia.
NATO is a
Russia,
defense.
It is a threat to Russia because it's an antagonistic organization to stop and contain Russia.
Yeah, Blanket. So again, because you've now run back to this argument because you've run away from this argument and conceded.
I'm not running away.
Come back.
No,
You're right. You're running.
Explain to you the reason why.
You've moved your
If you need me to
goalposts.
clarify a position,
Sure,
you need
I've
to
asked you.
clarify.
Yes, you've clarified and like well enough. I understand your position now. It's incomprehensible
I'm not-
because you keep on
So if
moving your
there's something you
goalposts.
need to
You
say to
say
me,
on one
say
hand,
it.
you say that Ukraine. Okay, you on one set.
What goalposts? What goalposts?
The goalpost of you saying that NATO is a defensive alliance that will not attack Russia unless they are provoked, and then also saying that Ukraine or NATO is a threat to Russia. The only way that NATO will be a threat to Russia, given the concessions that you have yourself said in the short time that I've been in this call, the only way that NATO is a threat to Russia is if Russia invades a NATO nation. If they have fucking imperialistic fucking ideas of the world where they get to fucking invade any country that they want to, as long as they're not in NATO, I think that those countries have a right to join NATO if they want to.
Wait a
This is how I know that you haven't been paying attention, right?
Are you saying that like an alliance that is
it's a threat.
has always been hostile to Russia, sitting up right next to Russia? That's not aggressive
Give me
at
an
all?
example of NATO doing anything aggressive.
Okay, so I'm gonna fucking hire a bunch of guys that hate you and set them up right next to your fucking house and give them a bunch of weapons, and that's not aggressive.
It's not aggressive unless they use those weapons on you. Can you give me one example of a
okay,
NATO
yeah. I'll
Russia?
give them fucking like rocket launchers and shit, and put them right next to our neighbors to you, and that's not aggressive. If they have a
Give
bunch
me
of
one
fucking
example
weapons. Sure.
of NATO aggression towards Russia.
I don't know. Them fucking hating Russia ever since their inception sounds pretty aggressive.
Okay, so just having a defensive alliance against a country that has a track record of invading other nations. That's how the USSR was founded, by the way. All of those nations got invaded by Russia and then had a government.
Yeah, because they invaded Russia.
Because Russia was invaded by them first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Exactly.
Wait. Can you wait? Ukraine invaded Russia first?
Hungary, Bulgaria, Romania, Italy, all these countries invaded them.
Wait, Ukraine invaded Russia?
We're not talking what?
Ukraine was part of the USSR. I hate to break it to you.
You were talking about Eastern Europe. You weren't talking about Ukraine. You got to talking about.
Wait. I might be completely fucking insane here. I might be completely fucking retarded. Explain to me. I thought Ukraine was in Eastern Europe.
You said Russia, right? You're meaning USSR.
I didn't know that Ukraine was in Western Europe this entire time. My mind is fucking blown. I got a fucking geography lesson from the fucking giantest brains on Twitch.tv.
You're talking about the countries that are part of the Axis that invaded, right?
No, I asked you.
Ukraine wasn't part of the Axis.
No, I said.
That is what you said.
No, I said they were.
You said like.
Tell me what I said. Tell me what I said.
I'm talking about Russia invading all these other countries, right?
Yeah, Eastern Europe.
Those countries invaded the USSR. They invaded Russia. What?
When did Estonia?
241 in Operation Barbarossa. The Germans invaded them.
You're telling me
all these other Hungary.
You're telling me that Ukraine. I'm talking about the broader USSR. All of the countries that were part of the USSR had the Russian military roll in and install a pro-USSR fucking government there. And
no, they didn't. They were part of the USSR. They didn't establish a government, an autonomous government. It was part of
where does
USSR.
the term tankies come from?
People who defend Soviet Russia. I'm not a communist.
The term tanky comes
Hungary,
from yes, people who it was the tanks that rolled into Hungary and took over the government there to make it into the USSR. That's how all of the fucking Eastern Bloc.
No, they were already part of the USSR. What are you talking about? That's not what happened.
Are you talking about
Hungary was always part of the USSR?
Hungary was always part of the USSR.
No, they were then. Yeah.
Poland was always part of the USSR.
Are you talking about the Balkans?
What you just said is wrong.
What do you?
Yeah, they never took it. They were just born in the USSR as a country.
Appalling to me.
Is it Hungary or is it Ukraine? Pick one. Pick one.
I'm talking about.
Wait. What you just said that Russia like sent tanks in what it was like 1954 to make Hungary part of the USSR. What I'm saying, they already fucking were, and you didn't even know that, dude. What are you talking about?
I'm saying, okay, holy shit, you're so fucking dumb. Holy fucking shit.
Yeah, now you're gonna get tricked.
They really are.
I wish I could be on cam because my fucking camera is fucking broken. Listen, they fucking invaded into Hungary.
I see your pretty face more than enough.
What?
I like your
They
beer,
didn't.
by the way.
Okay,
Thank you. I
I'll
appreciate
fucking
that.
I'll
I
tell
like
you
your
what
hair,
actually
too.
I'll
So,
tell you what actually
Hungary,
happened.
yes,
They
so they
invaded
invaded
them
Hungary
because
because they started
because
like
they were
being
trying to
uppity to
break
the
from the
USSR
USSR.
government, right? And that's where like the fucking I don't remember the name of the invasion was, but the fucking the USSR was founded by conquest of all these fucking Eastern Bloc nations because they were already fucked up from World War II, and then the fucking superior
because
Russian military came in and they installed their own
How did
government.
they invade those countries? How did they invade Poland and Hungary? How did that happen?
By force.
Yeah, but why did they invade those countries during World War II? Why did they do that?
Because
They were occupied by the Nazis, right? They're occupied by Germany.
Well,
so
they
that's
were
how they
occupied by
those
Germany.
countries.
Half of Poland was supposed to be Germany's, and half of it was supposed to be Russia's. And then they, there was this whole like plan that they had to split
All right,
Poland.
but what
and
about
split
Hungary
Europe.
and Romania and the other countries there? What about those countries?
They
How did
fucking
the USSR
invaded
take those
those.
countries?
They invaded those countries, and then they fucking
Yeah,
took them over.
because they invaded the USSR.
Every
and they
single
were-
so Estonia invaded. So tell me when Estonia invaded
We're not
Russia.
talk- Okay, are we talking about the Balkans or are we talking about the
Wait, what
Baltics?
the-
I'm
You said
talking
the
about
Balkans
all of
invaded.
Eastern Europe.
We're talking about the
Apparently
Eastern
you're not
Bloc.
listening,
We said it
dude.
like six
Eastern
times.
Europe. Eastern Europe.
Bloc.
Eastern
What does
Europe.
that mean? What does that mean?
Eastern Europe was part of the USSR. Eastern Europe got conquered by the USSR. How did it get in? How did it get part?
Well, the reason why the Soviet government invaded like countries like in the Baltics, like in Estonia, Lithuania, those countries,
Because they
was for
wanted to.
defense reasons, it was for defense reasons against Nazi Germany, because Nazi Germany was aggressing upon their Soviets.
So are we justified right now if we were to go to Ukraine and invade Ukraine and bust out all of the fucking all the Russians there, and then we went on and we also invaded Belarus and we took them over and then we made them part of NATO? Would that be justified because we're doing it for our own defense?
We
Because Russia
probably would
has
already have
been-
done that if Russia
We
wasn't
can
right
argue
next
against
door.
that. And it's the reason why, right? Because we don't want NATO doing that. We want Russia. Russia should have
We
the right
want
to
Russia
react.
to do all of the invading, but we don't want NATO to do any of the invading. So thank you for admitting that you just think that invading people is fine as long as it's Russia.
Doing it invading, right? Ideally, but we don't live in an ideal world right now. Right?
Just admit that you think it's okay when Russia invades people, and it's not okay when NATO does.
Their political hegemons, right? France and Britain, they have their political hegemons within Africa and all the other countries, right? Russia, within this world of political hegemons, should have the right to establish their
There is
own.
hold on. France and Britain have already lost their fucking like
Still
their
maintain
polarity.
imperialist control over their former African colonies.
They absolutely do not. Not nearly
You're
in the
delusional.
same way. Not
You're
nearly
delusional.
in the same way as they used to. Right now, the three large fucking power blocks, the three large power
Russia
blocks,
doesn't have a
the
political
three
hegemon
large,
over those countries, right?
the
It's
three
been
large
effective
power
for
blocks
them.
in the world are China, the EU, and the United States, with the United States being the most
And
powerful
Russia
of
needs a
those.
political hegemon to protect themselves against those power blocks.
Well,
that
maybe
keeps,
if Russia
Africa-
wants to be part of one of those power blocks, they should either form
yeah,
a defensive
it's
alliance.
like-
Hold on, wait.
it's like-
You talk so
analogy,
much. You talk so
right?
much.
Oh, well,
So if Russia wants to be
rates,
part
just,
of
be nice,
a
right?
polar, like one of these
You're louder,
multipolar-
Sondsol. Just keep going.
Yeah. If they want to be part of this multipolar fucking like giant fucking
If Russia doesn't want to be talking
multipolar
about the West, they
world
should
that you're
join,
talking
right?
about, then why don't they engage in some sort of defensive alliance or economic alliance with China,
the reason why
or
Ukraine
try to
doesn't
offer
want
Ukraine
to,
something? Why don't they try to do anything
are in
through
economic
diplomatic
alliance with
means?
China, dude.
Why
What are
is
you
it that
talking
when
about?
they
Ukraine
hold on,
doesn't
wait. Why is it that they straight up go straight for the invasion like they did in fucking Georgia, like they did in
They
fucking
go
Ukraine?
straight for the invasion. What are you
I'm
talking
sorry.
about, man?
When did-
Wait,
what they
are you not
did.
aware that they've been trying diplomacy for years with fucking the Ukrainian government?
Wait,
the
when did
Ukrainian
they
government
start? When did they
fucking
start?
respond?
2014 when they invaded Crimea, when they invaded Donbass and in Luhansk?
Ever since the Donbass war started.
Yeah,
they've
so
been
ever
trying-
since they started
they've
the
been
war with
trying to fucking
Ukraine,
negotiate
so ever
them
since
to
they
stop
start, so just say
killing
ever since,
their own fucking
so
Russian
tell me
civilians.
again. So tell me
Originally
again.
invaded
Wait.
Ukraine. Yeah.
So ever since they invaded Ukraine, they've been trying to end it with diplomacy. Yeah, that sounds super fucking great, dude. That sounds like Russia is totally in the right here by invading other countries and then trying to end the wars and hold on to that territory that they are totally in the right. Wow, fucking based argument, my dude. I'm so impressed.
Alexa,
they didn't invade the whole
Alexa,
fucking
I want to
country.
ask you a question at this point. So, Alexa, I've tried, Jason has tried, and Sonsol's tried. Our opponents have not listened to reason. Where does the
They've
conversation go from here?
They've already accepted that Russia
That's
can do
true.
whatever
Actually,
they
they
want.
have bit the bullet. They have bit the bullet.
That
You're right.
Russia can do whatever they want as long as NATO doesn't gain any power.
So we thoroughly handed them their asses in this debate, Alexa. So what do we do now?
Yeah, I don't know why these guys said they weren't tankies when they're obviously like sucking Putin's cock. They're throating that shit like it's the only source of fucking moisture.
Just like you're sucking.
He's so scared, Sondsol. He's so scared.
Okay,
Alexa,
go for it.
Or whatever you say.
All right, let me. Okay. So I was in this like 20 minutes ago, but it was so fucking funny. And the content was so fucking golden. I knew all of y'all were going to get great content. So I was like, you know what? Fuck that 10 minutes. I said, we'll let it go longer because this is funny. But
I was wondering why we were going to do
it. This was fun. I enjoyed it. So let's go in closing statements. Tell us where we can find you and stuff like that. We'll start with you, Omni.
Okay, yeah, so I mean, I'm on Twitch, same name, same name as this, except with a 1 on the end, OmniSlap1 on Twitch. That's about it right now. I haven't really set up a YouTube or anything, so yeah, you can find
closing statements on the debate.
Man, I don't really,
it's just,
I don't know if I have anything.
that's just, you know.
Yes, I can hear you sucking Biden's dick, yes.
Oh, wait, where did
I
Biden
don't know if I have anything that I really want to say.
Why is Biden involved in this at all?
Why is Putin involved in this? I don't know. You brought
because
Putin
he
up,
seems to want to expand the Russian Empire. Just go ahead.
Jesus Christ, dude. Disgusting. Anyways, no, but you brought Putin up. Because I guess sympathizing with a country means that you must be like fucking talking to their leader, I guess. So I brought up Biden because you're fucking sympathizing with American imperialism.
Where's the imperialism from America?
We're sympathizing with Ukraine being a sovereign nation and having the right to self-determine.
Wait. You just said that American imperialism. Where did America try to take over Ukraine? Where did America try to take over Ukraine? When did we invade them? When did we try to fucking like force them to? When was our economic deal to them that made it to where they could only exclusively trade with us? Right? Where was that?
But like fucking.
All right, let's finish closing statements.
What the fuck are you talking about? This is so fucking brain dead. Russia literally, before they invaded Donbass, they gave them a deal which said that you could only trade with Russia, and then they said, you know what? Actually, I think it's probably better to trade with the EU. And then Russia fucking invaded them, dude. Holy shit, imperialism.
Yeah, no, you're right. The State Department.
Everyone, shut the fuck up.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I'll mute myself.
Closing statements.
As funny as this
These guys are
is.
so fucking stupid.
Listen to this.
Sorry,
Let's go close statements. And if y'all want to still sit in here and fight like cats and dogs, I will gladly sit here and listen with popcorn in hand. All right. So, Blanket. Closing statements.
I'll go last. I'll give the honor. Unlike Rhyzohm here, who has been very antagonistic and has had very poor decorum, I will allow everyone else to have the honor of speaking last.
Wait, Blanket. I actually can help you with your mic. I think your gain is like so incredibly fucking high that your mic peaks itself out. So you need to turn your gain like significantly down in order, because like half of your sentences are being cut off.
All right, Jason, society.
So I mean, I haven't really been moved on any of this. Again, Ukraine has a right to sovereignty. This argument about the West expanding east is kind of bullshit because we're not seeing that actually happen.
Man,
and even if NATO were to grow stronger and move further east,
I can hear you sucking Biden's.
It would only be through a voluntary action of that country deciding that they want to be a part of said group. Okay, that said, this whole argument about it being a Russian security thing is bullshit. It's a fucking money grab. I already discussed about why it's a money grab. I discussed that there's new shale resources that they found in eastern Ukraine. I discussed about the fucking ports. I discussed about the fact that they're running fucking pipelines through Ukraine that right now they're having to pay Ukraine fucking tariffs for. And if you want to go into the average salary of workers, Ukraine employees make $1,500 a week, average a month, compared to Russia making $450 a month. The economy is better in their small-ass little fucking shithole country, as they like to phrase it, as Russia would like to phrase it, Ukraine. And they're on the move up. They, as an energy country, they're on the way up, and Russia wants to thwart that. That's what this is all about. It's a money grab and it's a land grab, and it's imperialistic. It has nothing to do with security. So that's where I stand on it. You guys can find me at on Twitch at Jason_Society, or yelling at people on Twitter at Jason Society, all one word.
Alrighty, Rhyzohm.
Yeah, this is pretty simple. They conceded the debate literally in their opening statements by saying they're not pro-Russia. They also
got
hit the
him.
bullet. Is this a closing statement or okay? Yeah.
Please let him
So,
finish.
anyways, they bit the bullet on basically every argument we put forward. The idea that Russia can self-determine, but Ukraine can't. They couldn't substantiate where the aggression is coming from NATO. So this is just ideology at its best. I mean, for real. Anyways, Rhyzohm on Twitch, RHYZOHM. If you like coherent points and you like to laugh at dumbasses like these guys we debated tonight, come on over. Jason,
like to be
it was nice meeting you. Sondsol, it was nice meeting you as well. Well, I know you, Sondsol. What am I talking about? What's up, Sondsol?
Absolutely. Good meeting both of you guys. Actually, everybody. So
Yeah,
that was super
and
fun.
special surprise special guest, Sondsol.
Yeah. If I'm doing a closing statement, I would just like, I would love for them to give me any example. Again, they keep on like saying that there is aggression, but it's also only a defensive pact from NATO. I would love to hear that sometime. If you guys want to, well, I don't want to like fucking steal your shit. Are y'all going to be continuing this afterwards? Or I don't know.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I like to listen.
Oh, okay. Cool. I was just gonna say,
I'm gonna get out of here soon.
Yeah, I would get out if I had stupid points like yours. Yeah, so basically, Russia has been engaging in. Yeah, I'm the Biden dick sucker. Meanwhile, you're like literally excusing the imperialist actions of a country that is invading another one with literally no provocation because you can't understand the different intersections between NATO and the EU and Russia and Ukraine and what kinds of weapons that have been sent to Ukraine. And you also didn't know that the agreement back in fucking 1990
you could just say you're triggered, dude.
Listen,
they would just cut this real short. Just say you're triggered.
This opening statements, what are we doing right now? Is this opening statements or what?
Listen, I'm just fucking chilling, okay, buddy? I just think it's funny that you don't know anything about what you're talking about, and you're just doing like the America bad. Anything that America does is bad. Biden is shitty. Blah 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 blah. Instead of actually looking at the facts on the ground as to why Russia might want to invade Ukraine. Anyways, yeah, I'm Sondsol at Sondsol on everything.
Yeah, and just before y'all start finding out, I'm Quinn Alexa. I run the Political Shit Show. If you enjoy this, because I goddamn enjoyed it, this was fucking funny. I make banger content always good panels. We did Great White Replacement literally last week. You will not get better content than what I'll do. So join our fucking Discord. It's fucking based. I'm based. All right.
Hopefully, Doobie doesn't delete it again.
Fuck Doobie. Fuck Big Papa Fascist. Fuck all those pieces of shit. You're on call. You're not canceling me. I'm above you. Suck my cock. All right. So yeah, no. And yeah, thank everyone for coming because you're all new faces to the Political Shit Show, and I hope to see y'all again. So
sounds good.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us, Alexa.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Now, finally, Cats and Dogs more. I'm playing a game and want to listen.
All right, I'm heading out. Sondsol, I'll catch you. Jason, I'll catch you.
I didn't get to have my closing statement.
Oh, right. Well, you said you.
Well, I wanted to go last and give everybody else.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, when you said you gave your time, I thought you meant like you just didn't want to do it.
Oh, I just want to let everyone go before me.
My apologies.
Out of respect.
No, we're just gonna last hit him like in Dota. It's fine. Go ahead.
Oh, if you still want to get it, I mean, Jason and Sondsol are still streaming.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, unfortunately, Rhyzohm left. I mean, I'm very disappointed of his bad decorum and the amount of insults he levied at me. I didn't say anything to him, and trust me, there's plenty of material there. And I didn't say anything about him.
Fucking aggravating.
In response to Sondsol about us not providing any examples, we plotted plenty of examples of Western aggression towards.
He wasn't even here. How's he supposed to know? He just joined fucking 11.
It's my closing statement. It's my closing. Right.
Okay.
I provided plenty of historical examples of these Western nation states, right? It's not necessarily about NATO; it's about the nation state, right? These countries, right? We had the Teutonic Order, we had the Polish, we had the Germans, the French, the British, right? We have all these different Western countries who have had long historical examples of imperialist aggression towards the East. Not too long ago, the Germans invaded the East to establish and oppress the Russian people, right? These memories are not long forgotten. It's not long forgotten that the Entente, British, including Americans, invaded, Russia to establish political control there, right? Even if it was to support, the Tsar or whatever, right? It was, it was, a political, goal to establish there, right?
Russia is such a victim.
These memories are not long forgotten, right? And this is why the Russian government wants to secure a political bloc within that region. To protect themselves against this Western aggression, right? It's not necessarily just about NATO, right? It's not just about NATO aggression. It's about those nation states having historical aggression towards Russia. And this is why they want to establish a political bloc to not just have economic control, Jason, but to have defense, right? A lot of it is economic, right? Because they want access to warm water ports, right? To secure their own resources and economy, right? But it was mostly a defensive pact, right? And that's just essentially like my closing statement, right? I don't have anything else to say. I'm going to call it a night, right?
All right. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, bud. Have a good one.
Well, I guess I'll catch you guys later. If you guys want to talk about this like one-on-one in a conversation where there's not 40 people interrupting each other, y'all are more than welcome to like jump in my chat sometime and say, hey, Sondsol, I'm always available. Right.
And if you want to help me with like mic problems so that I don't cut out every half of a sentence,
I can help you really quick. What kind of mic are you using?
It's this one right here.
Okay, so number one, don't keep the gain at one setting. Never fucking touch it again. Make sure that you're not talking to the top of it. Make sure you're talking to the side of it. Make sure that the cardioids that are on the front of it, there's like 5 different settings or some shit. Make sure it's the one that's facing you, and that should be enough. And then try and get like a noise gate or some shit.
Do you have like noise suppression on? Because like you were like breaking up, so I'm wondering about.
I don't know anything about this tech stuff. It's like
look up a YouTube tutorial.
Yeah, I'll probably
and
just
also
have
look up a YouTube video about like how Russia wasn't actually justified in invading here. Maybe look at it from another point of view and maybe like understand.
Well, I have seen the point of view, right? Well, I do think Ukraine has a right.
Then your Mike Tech Minute with Sondsol.
So wait, so you do think that Ukraine should be able to defend itself, but it just shouldn't be able to defend itself with the help of other nations that it asks to help itself with?
No, I think like I do empathize with the Ukrainian people wanting to defend their country. It's justified. It's human to want to defend your. It's completely human to want
to do it. That's the problem that I have.
No, they do have a right to do it. Like it's completely human to want to defend your country. I'm just saying that Russia also has a right to establish a political bloc there.
So, do you know anything about like the school of international relations, like the realism and idealism?
Yes.
Okay, so like basically y'all are giving like realist arguments, right? Which are dumb as fuck because
that's my shows in school. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, it's fucking dumb as fuck, and the reason why is because ultimately all it leads to is like might of the right. There's nothing else that matters except for
That's how the world works, though.
But it's not how the world works, especially in international relations. When you guys are going to like,
I mean, when you watch a bunch of Marvel movies, you might think that's not how the world works.
There is no good versus evil.
Okay, I don't watch Marvel movies because they're dumb as fuck, and I don't like
DC movies are better. I agree.
All right. Yeah.
So this is the thing: when you do this, all you're doing is running defense for Russia. There's never any example of like the USA doing things that are objectively in their benefit, and that's reasonable, right? It's always unreasonable from the West, and it's always reasonable from the East when it comes to this like a realist international relations thing. All right, you claim that there's nothing to do with ethics when it comes to great power politics, unless it's the United States doing something, which is why it's dumb as fuck. When you want this multipolar world where Russia has its own fucking giant sphere of influence, and China has its, and the U.S. has its, and the EU has its. Ultimately, what you're going to run into is these places are going to run up with borders up against each other, and it's just going to lead into them you know, what's the next step after that? It's trying to either get some kind of land grab out of the other one, right? And it's going to lead to worse wars, right? This is why that's why we've started not the EU, sorry, the UN. That's why we have a rules-based international order, because that's way more fucking based and it stops wars from happening way fucking more. That's why NATO is based, because there is
Did
no
it stop
nation.
the Iraq war, or the Afghanistan war, or the Vietnam, or Korea, or any of those? Or did they happen anyways?
Did I say it ended all wars? There's way less wars. There has not been like a major fucking conflict like World War I or World War II since those things happened, since the inception of the UN, right? And also,
there's probably other reasons for that.
Afghanistan was a reasonable thing to do. Iraq was not, right? That's why NATO didn't invade Iraq with the United States.
True.
I don't know if I agree that Afghanistan, the way that we did it, was justified. I don't think that we had to send their whole military.
We shouldn't have stayed there, right? Because we didn't have a mission statement after we got Osama bin Laden. So I'm not going to defend everything after that. But yes, they were harboring the people that blew up our fucking giant big buildings, right? And so the other nations, the European nations, invoked Article 5. The US didn't even have to do it. The other nations did, because we got attacked. We knew where the terrorists were. We invaded there. It wasn't until several years later that we invaded Iraq, and nobody else wanted to fucking go there.
Matter of fact, that's how Georgia got taken, was because like 2,000 of Georgia's troops were in Iraq, defending Iraq during working with the U.S. during the time that they were being invaded by Russia.
Also, who are the terrorists? All right, that's what I want to know.
Wait, what terrorists? What do you mean?
Sorry, I was reading my phone.
I was asking you who are the terrorists, and also what the context was.
In Afghanistan?
Oh no, we were definitely terrorists there, but
in Iraq, I'm not justifying. Right. But I'm not justifying the war in Iraq. What I'm saying is that nobody else thought that was justifiable either. That's why they didn't invade with us. Right? That was a. You know.
No, I agree with you on that one. Also, Afghanistan was Afghanistan was not justified, because Osama bin Laden only used Afghanistan as a sanctuary in order to do his bidding.
They were giving sanctuary to the people that blew up our giant fucking buildings. And so we said, hey, you guys have the guys that blew up our giant buildings there. Can we have them to ask them a few questions? And they said no. And we said, if you don't give them to us, we're going to take them. And then they said, try and take them. And then eventually we fucking did. I don't know why we stayed in there for 20 years, but...
Why not stand there for 20 years if Raytheon and fucking, whoever else is going to benefit that?
Yeah.
Conspiracy theories, and put that in
yes, because there's leaked documents.
And there's leaked documents
I'm trying to text my girlfriend at the same time, and you keep on interrupting me texting.
No, you're good.
Listen. We have leaked documents from the fucking Pentagon that shows that we didn't know what the fuck we were doing in Afghanistan, right? We didn't have a fucking war plan. We didn't have a long-term goal.
That's what the Pentagon wants you to say.
Oh yeah, that's just what the Pentagon wants us to think. Everyone was the Pentagon would rather us know. Yeah, the Pentagon would rather us think that they're completely inept than accidentally leak a document that says that they were there fucking just so that they could purchase more guns from Raytheon. Yeah, yes, that's a fucking entirely reasonable.
That's exactly what the Pentagon is there for.
Presidents could definitely have been influenced by even if that wasn't like the chief reason, it could have played a role in it. Sure, why not?
Yeah, it's like
not that they could. It's that they did.
The reason people go to war, the reason any country goes to war, usually has something to do with commerce. Usually has something to do with money, whether it's the country as a whole or
Jason.
Positions of power.
Wait, I'm sorry. What were our commerce reasons for invading Afghanistan?
Well, we blamed them for attacking us, even though technically it was Pakistan.
We did not blame Afghanistan.
Like 2005.
Yeah, because everyone here is fucking stupid as shit, and they have to like pull in all these other fucking arguments because there's no way to justify why Russia is invading Ukraine.
How old are you, Sondsol?
Huh?
How old are you, Sondsol?
Why does it matter?
It matters to me because I grew up in that era. I have to.
I was alive during the invasion of Afghanistan too. So this is the thing. When you're talking about
we invaded Afghanistan.
When we invaded Afghanistan, we weren't going. The fucking terrorists that bombed us were in Afghanistan, and then they ran to Pakistan after we invaded Afghanistan. Since they said "fuck you," we're not going to give them to you. Right?
Oh, were they not? Well, it was not 18 Saudis and one Afghanistani person that fucking planned out the attacks. It was. So
hold on. If there was a group of terrorists from France and Germany, and then a couple of them were from, I don't know, Estonia, right? And then Estonia had those people in there. Who are we going to invade? Are we going to invade France and Germany, or are we going to invade Estonia, where the people who blew us up were?
Well, Afghanistan was not the fucking prime target there, right? It would have been Saudi Arabia.
Wait, but they weren't in Saudi Arabia. They were just from Saudi Arabia.
It doesn't matter if they're from or with Saudi Arabia. It matters. Well, Saudi
Arabia didn't send them to bomb us. They came from Saudi Arabia to Afghanistan to get training so that they could learn how to be fucking terrorist insurgents, right? And then what did they do? They stayed in Afghanistan. And then, well, I guess eventually after we like found them and we were trying to get them, they fucking went to Pakistan. But
of all the U.S. intelligence that we have, of the amazing U.S. intelligence that we have, right? We pinged Osama bin Laden and some Saudi like fucking terrorists, right? I mean, it's almost funny at this point now, right? That it's the Saudi Arabians that did the shit.
What?
Is this like
so again, let me ask you the same fucking hypothetical. If we were bombed by fucking like 12 people, all right, 6 of them were from Germany, 5 of them were from France, right, and then 1 of them was from Estonia. It was an Estonia-based like terrorist cell, right? Who would we invade? Would we invade Germany and France, or would we invade Estonia to get those terrorists?
They're all NATO allies. It doesn't matter at that point.
I'm bringing up a hypothetical, dog. Can you explain to me why we would invade Germany or France when they didn't send the fucking people to blow us up? It was the fucking terrorist cell that was in Estonia. If Estonia didn't want to hand them over or let us walk in there of our own volition to like find them ourselves, why would we go to Germany and France when the fucking terrorist cells aren't in Germany and France?
It's because of capitalism, all right?
Okay. Yeah, this was fun. Bye. Fucking, okay, I'm done with that. That was so fucking stupid. That was dumb.